Canada's Artificial Intelligence Minister, Evan Solomon, has released a statement about OpenAI. The ChatGPT creator is facing backlash over its failure to notify authorities about red flags it had about the shooter ahead of the Tumbler Ridge attack. The CBC's Marina von Stackelberg joins me live from Ottawa. So, Marina, what is Solomon saying?
Yeah, well, the AI minister is saying that he now has a meeting scheduled with the head of OpenAI, Sam Altman, that will take place next week. Evan Solomon says he wants to make sure in that meeting that the company is following through on its new commitments around safety. And he also says that he will be meeting with other major platforms to ensure they are also having clear measures in place to protect Canadians. I want to read you some of the statement that just came out from his office. Solomon says the tragedy in Tumbler Ridge has raised serious questions about how digital platforms respond when credible warning signs of violence emerge. Canadians deserve greater clarity about how human review decisions are made, how escalation thresholds are applied, and how privacy considerations are balanced with public safety. Decisions affecting Canadians must reflect Canadian laws, Canadian standards, and Canadian expertise. Now, also in that statement, Solomon acknowledged the commitment from OpenAI to make some changes, but he said that he has not seen a detailed plan of how the company is actually going to go about doing that. This all, of course, comes after Solomon's meeting with some other heads of OpenAI. They were summoned to Ottawa earlier this week. Solomon left that meeting saying he was disappointed that he didn't have clear answers, especially when it comes to the safety measures, how things are flagged within the company, how they're escalated when police are actually contacted. And so he says that he wants this company to come up with new safety protocols and be very clear on what those are.
And has the federal government committed to taking any action on this?
So all week we have heard the AI minister say all options are on the table here. We did also hear the justice minister following that initial meeting saying, if these measures are not brought in by OpenAI, that the government would take action. But it is really unclear at this point what that would actually be. Ministers throughout the week here in Ottawa have been asked about specifics, but have not provided that. We do know that BC's Premier, David Eby, is calling for a national standard so that AI companies, all of them that operate in Canada, would have a minimum standard of when they have to report potential violence to police. He has been calling on this all week, and he says that he also has a meeting with the OpenAI CEO that will be scheduled in the coming days. Have a listen to some of what David Eby said earlier.
I want to recognize that OpenAI did come forward. They did bring the information forward to police. They didn't try to cover it up after the fact. But this was a colossal, horrific mistake, I guess, is the most generous interpretation I can offer, to fail to bring that information forward to authorities. And it's important that Mr. Altman realizes that.
This all comes, of course, Andrew, as we got that rather explosive letter last night from OpenAI addressed to Minister Solomon, essentially laying out the fact that the Tumbler Ridge shooter, the company says, had actually opened a second account after the first one was blocked. And the company also said that it would have flagged that initial account to police under the new safety protocols that it has developed within the last few months. It is promising changes, saying that it now will have experts that help to assess difficult cases, that it will have a direct point of contact with Canadian law enforcement. But experts say right now in Canada, there is really no regulation for these companies. A clear sign of that was that the Minister of AI didn't know and needed to seek out information about these safety protocols. So experts have been saying that these companies need to be regulated now because, these tech companies can't be trusted to self-regulate themselves. This is all, of course, Andrew, in the context of this government really putting a focus on artificial intelligence, seeing it as a really important step forward, a key part of its economic policy. We have seen Minister Solomon really the hype person for AI, and this week really very much having to come to terms with some of the negative of these types of technologies.
Marina, thank you. The CBC's Marina von Stackelberg in Ottawa.